I am Maria D'Souza and this is my story. I was born in Abu Dhabi. I've traveled all over the world. I'm half Portuguese, half Indian. My dad was in the oil and gas industry, so because of this, we moved around quite a bit. We lived in the GCC countries out in the Middle East, as well as we lived in England, Portugal, and Goa. Through my work, I've had the opportunity to live in Qatar, Dubai, and Bahrain in the Middle East. I've also lived in the Turks and Caicos Island in the Caribbean for 3 years, where I ran an art gallery. As far back as I can remember, I've always been passionate about traveling and seeing the world. At an early age, I left home and worked for the airline industry. Over the years, I got to see the world. I came to the US in 2010, visiting some friends. And the time that I was here, I was mainly in the greater Cincinnati area. I soon met the man who became my husband, and he convinced me to stay. He's originally from Kentucky, and he moved to Anderson in 1999. He previously owned Scenic River Canoe Rentals in Anderson and also worked for the Eureka Ranch in Newtown. We have a home here in Anderson and we've really grown to love it here. We love the community. Being an artist came naturally to me. Wherever I lived and worked, I was always painting and creating. I looked for inspiration everywhere. Along the way, I got positive feedback and my art was selling. Things really took off for me when I was in the Turks and Caicos Islands. The gallery I worked for carried my work on a full-time basis. This is when I realized that I could make a living doing absolutely what I loved, creating art. After moving to the US and getting married, I took a short break from art. I knew I wanted to take my art to the next level, but I was not sure what that was. Like everything else, God has a plan, whether we know it or not. Our first Christmas together, Scott and I put up our Christmas tree. He had some old Christmas ornaments that his grandfather painted. After decorating the tree, we put on some Christmas music and started dancing. We got a bit carried away and we bumped into the Christmas tree. The ornaments that his grandfather painted, some of them fell and broke. I knew these pieces were irreplaceable heirlooms, but I decided to put my talent to use and create some new ones. That Christmas, when friends and family came over, they said, "Wow, we love your ornaments on your tree. And where did you buy them?" I said, "Well, I painted them." So that's when all the orders started flowing in. The process was fun. I got to know my family members a lot more through the stories they shared with me with what these ornaments meant to them. Personal connections through art are really amazing. Through this and with the encouragement from my husband, I decided to create a line of hand-painted ornaments. I soon started taking part in large art and craft shows and I got a great response. This is when I established Heirloom Art by Maria on Etsy. As the business grew, we branched out from traditional hand-painted ornaments to personalized ornaments, highlighting family pictures, scenes, and memories of my clients. This is now one of our biggest sellers. I created a unique way of taking an image and transferring it onto a clear glass ornament. One of the popular example is the new home ornament, which is very popular with the real estate agents as a unique, personalized closing gift for their clients. I take an image that their client has given them of their new home, and I transfer it onto the glass ornament, and I hand paint a custom design around it. Each of these ornaments come with a personalized message on the back. Some of our other popular personalized ornaments are the military appreciation, anniversary, and the newborn baby ornaments for parents and grandparents. We also make pet ornaments. During our travels to the Southwest, I fell in love with the artwork from that region. One day, my husband came in from our backyard and he had a deer skull in his hand. He said, "Why don't you paint this like you've seen out west, the painted animal skulls?" The challenge was intriguing. After he cleaned and prepped the surface, I painted it, and I clicked a few pictures, sent it out to my friends and families here out in the US as well as overseas. The response I got was overwhelming. I knew there was more to do here. As with my other art forms, I love to experiment with various materials and styles. In the past, I loved making my own beaded jewelry, so I dug out a few of the old beading supplies and I started exploring with different colors and styles and designs for future skulls. The creative process was endless here. I had my husband look into various different types of animals. We started with the iconic North American horned animals such as bison, longhorn bulls, and bighorn ram. We also looked into exotic African and Middle Eastern animals that I'd seen when I was out traveling, such as the impala, kudu, and oryx. I like to use various different materials. I like using precious and semi-precious stones, exotic leathers, tarnished coppers, and various other metals. I like using also high-end beads and mother of pearls. I like to keep my options flexible. As we conducted more research, we started to connect with interior designers out west. Recently, I was found by a designer from Texas, Ann Sevenstrip, who owns Design 62 in Dallas. She is leading the design for the Confluence, which is the most exclusive residential high-rise in Denver, Colorado, which is due to open on the 1st of June. The Confluence has been featured recently in the Wall Street Journal. It has nearly 300 units ranging from price $1,500 a month up to $12,000 monthly. The Confluence has a pristine view of the Rocky Mountains, and I was commissioned to design and bring to life the main focal piece for the lobby, a bighorn Rocky Mountain ram skull. That piece, named Over Sunrise, was shipped out last week to be installed before the first residents move in. Design 62 has featured a large amount of original artwork throughout the building using only Denver-based artists, with me being the only exception. Later this summer, the Confluence will have a large reception featuring the artists that created the custom works for this building. There will also be media coverage, with my piece being featured in several of the art and architectural publications of that region. Only a handful of artists work in beaded skulls that do so at a high level. The beaded skull art side of things have recently gained traction. I have created several pieces for collectors in the US as well as overseas. These pieces have sold for $3,400 up to $7,000. It is too soon to divulge, but there are some more commercial projects in the works. I have also started working with safari clubs where hunters, especially big game hunters, send me the skull of a trophy they've harvested and I create custom pieces for them. I recently worked with a hunter and he had so many traditional shoulder mounts that his wife said to him, if you bring home one more shoulder mount, I am going to stuff you, mount you, and hang you on the wall. So he sent me a skull and I did a custom piece for him with his wife's favorite colors and stones. And she absolutely loved it. I believe he never had a problem getting another shoulder mount to his home. This fall, I am glad to announce that I will be showing some of my artworks in major art shows out west, as well as some of the museum shows. I am very excited to have signed on with Cincinnati's own art design consultants and their online publication, Blink Art Resources. ADC is owned by Litsa Spenos, our fellow Anderson resident. ADC is not only an art gallery, they are art advisors and art experts that source out art to commercial projects, interior designers, and also some of the other art galleries. Later this month, I will be participating in their competition Art Comes Alive, which is sponsored by several of the large downtown companies. The competition awards $250,000 in prizes and contracts and over $80,000 in guaranteed purchase awards for featured artists. Through this process, I have learned that you need to follow your passion and do what you love most because success soon follows.